Nicke, welcome to the Camps Big Guy podcast. I'm super excited to get into this podcast because you've helped me achieve some of my biggest goals as my accountability coach over the last 2 years. And yeah, so it's such a privilege to have you here. And I think at the beginning of the year, when people have set themselves big goals and they want to achieve those big goals, someone like you can give them the knowledge and advice they need to get on track and make sure that they stay on track so they don't fall off track for this year. So it's super exciting to have you here. Welcome to the podcast.
Yay, I'm so grateful to be here. Thanks, Josh.
And Nicke, you've worked with so many professionals across different industries. What originally led you to starting the winning attitude and going into the career that you're in now?
Perfect. So I spent 29 years in hospitality, and in 2005, I was given the opportunity to open up a new restaurant, hire 80 staff and train them. And I had never stood in front of a group of people before. And the first time I sat in front of these 80 people I hired and I stood there and I started training, I was just fell in love with training. So that's where it all started with, the love for training and working with people. Over that time, I was actually working with the Woolworths coffee shops, and I spent 14 years working with them, and I became the national customer service head for the coffee shops. I also developed our leadership training manual and did training for that. I started recruiting training and developed a manual for that, plus financial management. But that's really where my passion for training was born. So I always wanted to start my training company. It was quite challenging to leave a salary-based job to go and start on my own. But what was very exciting was 2018, I met somebody incredible, and he invited me to join the real estate fraternity as a team leader. And that's something I've always been passionate about, to go into real estate. So when I was offered a position as a team leader, which included training and recruitment, which I knew I could do, I jumped at the opportunity. Saying that, 16 months into the role, COVID struck, our entire leadership team got retrenched. And it was secretly a blessing in disguise, because now I was forced to start my own company. And I've always said, choose your attitude. So for me, it was about the winning attitude, starting my company. I know during the first few weeks of lockdown, while everyone was watching Netflix, I was working 16, 18-hour days, building my company, building my brand, which was really exciting.
Sure. Amazing. Yeah. So it started from obviously working in the corporate world, and you'd always had this idea to get into it. So it's quite a cool journey. And obviously it always, like with everybody, it always takes something big to kind of like throw you off track, but it actually puts you on the right track. So
Correct.
It's super, super exciting. And a lot of people set big goals, but struggle to stay on track. Why is accountability such a game changer for success?
I honestly, in all my years, even working in corporate, the word accountability is such a loose word thrown around. And for those of you in corporate would know. And it was only when I joined the real estate company in 2019 that I learned what accountability was. So even the companies I worked in preached accountability, but never lived it as much as to understand it. And once I got the understanding in 2019 of accountability, it was life-changing for me, because I think often in corporate you micromanage people, whereas accountability is holding people accountable to what they say they're going to achieve. And once I grasped that, not that I never knew it, but I really grasped that in 2019, and I saw the difference it helped me in growing my goals, did I fall in love with accountability. And I think saying that if you're going to set yourself big goals, you need someone to hold you accountable to stay on track and to achieve them. Yeah. So even though I have many accountability clients, I still have accountability partners holding me accountable in different aspects of my life, because the challenge is real.
Yes. Yeah. So I remember when I first started working with you, like how much of a shift it had for me, because you knew obviously we had our weekly meetings, and you knew like every week you had to have that meeting, sit down and actually say what you achieved, because it's so easy to say you're going to do these big things and take action, but do you actually do it? And when you have somebody that's there that's going to hold you accountable to stick to what you said you're actually going to do, it creates such a shift in your life, I think. So yeah, it was powerful for me. And as you said, it's been powerful for yourself as well and for your clients.
Correct.
I wanted to interrupt this episode to let you know that you can book a 30-minute call with me. Just click on the link in the description below, fill in your details, and we'll chat. Cheers. What are some of the biggest mindset shifts that separate top performers from those who stay stuck?
I think people that are accountable and willing to show up sets you apart. So a lot of my clients, when I started my accountability coaching, would send me a message and like, oh, I can't make it this week. Something's come up. And immediately I knew they hadn't achieved their goals for the week. So for me, it was a non-negotiable. If you couldn't make it this time, I'd give you 2 different options. And if those 2 time options didn't work, we could go to 8 o'clock at night or 4 o'clock in the morning the next morning, because it's all about showing up. And I think once you grasp that it's okay not to achieve for a week, but getting back on track, then you kind of accept accountability for what it is. And I think what sets people apart is about showing up even when you say you haven't achieved. Because it's natural for humans to want to achieve, I mean, myself included. You want to say, oh, I've got it all done, but we don't always get it all done. And I think it's being comfortable, being uncomfortable to say it was a sucky week, I didn't achieve my goals, but I'm still showing up. And I think that's what sets apart somebody that actually makes the difference in their business and somebody who hides from not achieving their goals.
Yeah, and what are some examples of like some of the successes that you've seen from people when they started doing accountability and where they were and not kind of being off track, and how it kind of transformed their life and their businesses?
Well, you for one,
Yeah.
massive success with your growth, and I think a lot of times what we do when we set ourselves goals, we set ourselves achievable goals, where I like to push my clients like you to go a little bit larger and bigger and think differently, to do things differently. And I think when you start thinking bigger, your action steps change a little bit more. To really take the plunge to go deeper into achieving what you need to achieve. So, I mean, your success was transformational in what you've done. And the fact was you were willing to go big, and you were willing to get pushed, and you were willing to try harder. I've got beautiful success stories of clients, including you. But, I coached last year set himself a goal of, closing 3 deals in the last 3 months of the year. And, teasingly, I said to him, oh, I just heard 6, not 3. And, saying, so what are we going to do to get 6? And he was like, well, I said 3. And I was like, well, I can only hear 6. And we changed it to 6. And December the 15th, he closed his 7th deal. And what does that do? It sets you up for the new year. Wow. So it's about pushing big, but also acknowledging where you're at and not feeling like a failure if you didn't achieve it. But he actually got his 3rd sale in the first month, because now his goals went a lot bigger. So when you set your mind to doing something and you push yourself big, it's just taking the small actionable steps to get you there.
Do you think that's like a little bit of like Parkinson's law as well? Like you say, okay, you have a deadline for the end of the year, and like if you know what Parkinson's law is, like you say you've got a deadline and you kind of give yourself a timeline, you kind of inevitably are going, if you push yourself and you actually say, I'm going to do this, you kind of get there. Do you think that's a bit of...
I do think so, but I think if you don't have a timeline, then we don't push ourselves to get there. So, I've often said I've had big goals that I didn't necessarily achieve in the timeline, but you never delete the goals. You can shift the timeline. You're not a failure if you have to shift the timeline. But if you think, and I don't want to say anyone I work with thinks small, because I don't like to work with people who think small. I like action takers the same way as my accountability partner pushes me. But it's at the same time also recognizing when you're doing really well and not, pushing yourself to a mental health issue or not having quality time with family and friends. I think some of my clients, I have to warn them to have a little bit more time with their family and friends as well, which is also important. But it is about putting it in writing. And I think a lot of people have goals, don't put it in writing, or they don't share it with someone in case of failure. Whereas if you have shared it with someone you want to achieve, you push yourself harder.
Yeah, when you make like a public declaration to people, it kind of puts that extra pressure on, or less, maybe not pressure, but it makes it real. When you kind of keep it to yourself, it's like, okay, if you didn't achieve it, then
nobody knows.
No one, who cares?
Exactly.
So there's none of that real pressure there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think that's what's important. And having an accountability partner, I mean, the whole, sometimes people go, are you going to shout at me? Yeah, don't believe, I shout at my husband and my son, but no one else. But I don't believe I've ever shouted at a client, because it's not about shouting, it's about holding up the mirror. And if you're not achieving, what's stopping you? And sometimes it's the mindset shift. Sometimes the goal might be needing to be broken up into smaller bite-sized chunks. And that's the journey you take together.
Yeah, breaking it down.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not so intimidating. What am I doing today? I remember you always used to say, what needs doing? What needs doing? Yeah, and what's working, what's not working.
Correct.
Those are like the questions.
Yeah, and the best part is always recognizing what is working, because then it's acknowledging what you're doing well. And then that's why I like focusing on the positive. But then what's not working, sometimes it's just looking at things differently. And that's why what needs doing. So immediately you're going to a solution mindset of, well, what can I do differently? And I think even when things are working really well, I'm currently doing launches, they're working really well, but I'm still going, what can I do differently? You've got to do trial and error.
Yeah, it's so easy to slip into I think that's happened to me a little bit. I'll be honest, I'll be vulnerable on the platform. That's happened to me a little bit in like the last sort of like 6 months. Your business is like flowing, it's cyclical, it's happening. Every month you're getting a certain amount of business in, you're happy. But you kind of, you slowly, you start to let like the small things go, oh no, I don't need to really do that. That's okay, I'll leave that, and then that becomes, and then recently I reflected and I was like, what? Because obviously things weren't going as well as I kind of wanted them to be going. You reflect and you kind of see, okay, I let this slip, and then I just let it be for the rest of those other deals or whatever. And then, so it's good to have that person to say, okay, did you do this? Did you stay in line? So that's where I saw it was really powerful working with you. And another thing that just came to mind while we were talking, you said you spoke about big goals, and I recently learned about a concept. It's basically that 10x is easier than going 2x, because 2x you actually have to work twice as hard and you don't get any help in, and because you just kind of say, okay, I'm going to double my business. How much harder do I need to work to get there? But the 10x is like, you can't work 10x harder. You just don't have enough hours in the day. So it's like, how do you scale yourself up and get help and leverage and things like that, which is quite a interesting concept. What do you think about that?
Well, it's interesting because every coach needs a coach. And this year I decided to sign up with a business strategist coach. And 2 weeks ago, we had our first Strat Lab session and sitting in a room with 8 dynamic women. And as she went around the room, my head, I'd set my mind to 2.5x my business this year as a one-man show. And every other woman 10x'd. And I was like, well, crap, if they're 10xing, I'm 10xing. Yeah. So the thinking has gone completely differently. You're 100% right. So even saying that, immediately my brain has gone from, this is what I'm currently doing and doing well. If I want to 10x, the way these ladies are speaking about it, if they're doing it, I can do it. And what needs doing to get there? It shifted my thinking so much broader, as opposed to just keeping into like a one-man show. So immediately I've reached out to people about franchising and who can I speak to, and putting more of my courses online. So what can I do differently as a one-man person to 10x my business? But more importantly, who can I bring in to help me get there? And again, it's a mindset shift. And I think saying it out loud, because I hadn't mentally prepared for that, gave me a good 2-3 days, like sleepless nights. But exciting, like not sleepless nights of like, crap, what have I said out loud? It was more of, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? So if my goal was 2x, 2.5x, and I go up to 5x, I'm still more than 2.5. So it's again, a different mindset thinking as well.
You inevitably are going to hit that 2x goal if you go for the 10x. If you don't hit the sun or the whatever, you're going to land. If you don't hit the moon, you're going to land amongst the stars or something.
There we go.
You're still going to be better off going for that than you were going for the 2x.
Correct. Yeah. And your strategies change. So immediately it's taken my mind shift of going from 2.5x, going, okay, what about all my clients? Because if I'm doing it, let's do it together. So just hashtag just saying.
Yeah, hey, I'm definitely going to try and 10x. I wanted to quickly interrupt this episode to tell you about my foreign exchange partners, Currencies Direct. Currencies Direct are a foreign exchange company who will help you move your money in or out of South Africa. They deal with all the admin and the red tape that come with doing that so that you don't have to. And their services are completely complimentary. If you need to reach out to one of their specialists, contact me and I'll put you in touch with them today. And you emphasize that success is a choice and an attitude. And attitude plays a huge role. Can you break down how someone can actively develop a winning attitude?
Well, I always feel like attitude is your choice. And it doesn't matter what's happening in your life. The way you look at life is where your choice lies. And we all, in all fairness, have good days and crap days. I actually said to my husband today I woke up in a really crap mood and I was like, just feeling really down. So it's like, how am I going to go and talk about a winning attitude when I feel really crappy? And in fairness, I said to him, well, when was the last time I felt this? It was nearly 6 months ago. And you also have to realize your highs come with lows. And it's not about taking out those lows on anyone else. It's like, what can you do differently? So even driving here today, I was like, okay, so I'm going to choose a positive attitude. I'm busy listening to Mel Robbins' Let Them. And I was listening, I'm loving the book, but it's just such a shift in your mindset. So even if you have a positive mindset and even if you're doing all the positive things, you still need support from outside, and be it podcasts, be it books to read. I like focusing on looking for a positivity quote that I share with over 150 people a day because it helps me stay into the positive mindset. I like being real, that when I am having a bad day, that people don't think I'm non-human, that I can put my hand up and say I'm having a suck day. And what was amazing is a few people I've spoken to today all reached out and it's like, can we come give you a hug and can we do this? And now I'm feeling awesome again. And I think it's just about standing in the truth. So again, having a winning attitude, it's about hard work and perseverance, and also recognizing that you have to live your life in the truth and authenticity, that if you're having a crap day, it's okay to say it. Because otherwise, people don't like to be around positive, happy people all the time if they just think your life is full of joy. And as much as you like to be surrounded by positivity, it's also good to be surrounded by the real. And I'm sticking with that.
Yeah. No, I really like that. You have to be honest with yourself. You can't lie to yourself. You know if you're not having a good day, and maybe that's the start of basically changing your day. If you can't admit that you're not having a good day, you're just gonna try and be happy, and you can't get through that. You have to kind of like see reality, and then you can work through it and have a great time. Or if you've been having a bad few months, you have to look back and see, okay, I haven't been having a good few months. What can I change? How can I? Yeah.
What can I shift? And I think it's all about standing in the truth. So even driving, I phoned my techie. She's absolutely fabulous. And her name's Nadia. And I phoned her and I was just like, I'm having a day. And she's like, well, how can I help you? Which is really amazing. What can I do differently? And there's actually no one. It was really about, okay, what needs doing? And I can tell you in the last 10 minutes when I was begging for a red traffic light just so I could put on Mel Robbins. I was like, could every traffic light stop being green? And as soon as I stopped and I put it on, just those 10 minutes of a different mindset shift. And then even driving I was so excited listening to her, I got lost. And in that moment, I could get really angry or just go, well, that's crap. Well, now I had an extra 2 minutes to listen to Mel Robbins. And now I'm happy.
Lovely. That's great. And you've worked closely with real estate agents. What are the common traits of the most successful ones?
Definitely real estate agents who focus on their mindset. A lot of agents, irrespective in business or entrepreneurs, you have to focus on your mindset. But what the agents that I work with, even it's, again, standing in the truth. Sometimes they phone me really amazing, positive, happy agents just going, I'm in a bad headspace. In fact, all my clients at the moment are busy listening to the Let Them theory. But it's also be able to stand in the truth so that you can get through it. And then it's about perseverance, determination, and being willing to fail. I think a lot of people feel successful people don't fail. That's the best way to learn. So it's trying different things, trial and error, and being able to put your hand up and say, I need to do something differently, and being able to take the risk in doing that. And that's definitely, I look at you and I look at quite a few of my clients who are willing to do it and willing to put up their hand and say, what can I do differently? And let's trial it. So it's all we can do. And it's definitely the mindset, determination, perseverance.
Wow, sure. That's powerful. And agents often get caught up in the busyness rather than productivity. What are some key habits or systems that help them stay focused on high impact tasks?
Ask yourself every time you start doing a task, is this a money making activity or is it going to help me reach my goal? And sometimes we get so caught up in the fluff of what we need to do that we spending more time doing fluff than actually doing high priority items. So I like to say, itemize, even like an accountant where they itemize per minute what they're working on. Start doing that as an agent. And you'll actually find out how much time you're spending on social media, how much time you were wasting time on things that weren't really important, and how much time were you focusing on productivity items. So I'll often look at my, success list of what I need to do in a day. And there's certain things that you get caught up doing because it's fun. But those are also things you can do after 5 or 6 o'clock when you don't need to speak to a client. So try and prioritize all client-facing work during business working hours so that you can do the fun, fluff things after hours. And often by then you don't really want to do it because you're tired and you want to spend time with your family. But then you can also recognize that it wasn't that important, which for me just helps me stay focused on what I have to do.
That's really good advice, because I feel like we all get caught up in admin and thinking we have to do this, and we put off the most important thing, which is the prospecting, the calls, the reaching out to people to try and help them. So yeah, that's very important. And what's the number one mistake that holds agents back from reaching their full potential?
Not believing in themselves. I think the fear of making that phone call, the fear of rejection, the fear of the what if. And I find, so many people say to me, but what if they say no? And I'm like, and what if they say yes? So phone for the no's, go for the fails, because then you have to win. So let go of let go of what the potential outcome can be and go in and see what value you can add. That for me is the most important to do.
So you've got to be prepared to fail. Otherwise, you're not going to be a successful in any business, really, because starting a business is not easy at all. There's going to be so many stumbling blocks and things.
There is, and it also life changes, and businesses pivot, and you need to look at what people are doing. So sometimes it is saying, well, what can I do differently? And even if it's working really well, tweak it a little and see how that goes. And if it didn't, you can come back to what is working, but then try and tweak the next week to something different. I'm busy challenging a lot of my clients now to do little video clips for their clients through WhatsApp, as opposed to just sending out a message. I mean, I'm very used to sending out messages, and I will share with you that last week, I sent out my Monday motivation and all my daily posts. But last week, Friday, I sent out a post from ABBA of the dancing queen, but it changed the words to say you only got 7 teeth. And my friend challenged me to sing it and share it, which I said to her. And then she asked me to send it to 150 people. I was like, crap, I'm going to sing that out loud and send it. But I got like over 40 responses from people going, thank you, you made my day. That was hilarious. Well done. And the feedback was incredible. And yet was putting myself in such a vulnerable place of croaky, morning voice, doing a little song, not that I can sing, but doing a little morning song, but having fun with it and seeing the reaction. And now I'm going, well, when I send out my positivity quote every day, I very rarely get a reaction. I sing a song with the wrong words and everybody reacts. So sometimes it's not about sticking to the rule book and doing things perfectly. It's just about having a bit more fun. Also shows your personality and your passion for what you do.
I wanted to interrupt this episode to tell you about one of my sponsors, Van Zyl Kruger Attorneys. I've been working with Van Zyl Kruger Attorneys since I started in the real estate industry, and I can honestly say that they have never let me down on a single transaction. So if you are looking for a transferring attorney on the next sale of your property, then do not hesitate to contact Van Zyl Kruger Attorneys. I've left their details in the comments of this episode, so you can find them there and reach out to them. And if you need any other legal advice, they can also assist you. So don't hesitate to reach out. And many entrepreneurs and agents start strong, but lose momentum. How do you help clients push through the tough times?
I think that's the best time to sign up with a coach. to have somebody to hold you accountable, to show up, and being comfortable to not be comfortable with your coach. So again, at the same time, it's because we get into a space where we become complacent. We think, well, it's working for us, so we no longer need one. And I've fallen into the same trap. I also believe shifting coaches is also a good thing. I also believe that you don't, I've got clients I've been coaching for 4 years, and I'm saying to them, get another coach. I can't teach you anything more. That I've given you everything I have. So sometimes working with different people to learn different coaching styles is important. But like every coach needs a coach. I think every business person needs someone to hold them accountable. And, be it business, personal, financial, whatever works best for them, it's all about checking in with someone. And often they'll go, no, I'll check in with my husband or my friend. Friends very rarely hold someone accountable. We more accept when somebody doesn't do something or celebrate when they do. But it is about actually saying to someone, well, I fell off the wagon, or I didn't do something, because it's the way you feel that's going to help you get back on the wagon.
Sure. And what strategies do you use to keep people disciplined and committed even when motivation fades?
Show up. So I think, strategies would be, again, focusing on the mindset. So doing your daily affirmations, be it meditation, be it visualization, visualizing what you do want, and then focusing on what needs doing to get there. As well as, again, it would come back to mindset, because if your mindset's not strong to want to do what you want to achieve, nothing else is going to matter. And sometimes it's about taking the day off. Sometimes it's about going and spending some time by yourself or spoiling yourself, and just also looking after what you want and having that time to actually really structure what your future is going to look like. And then how can I help you get there?
So it's important sometimes, you're saying, it's important if you're feeling stuck, maybe just step back, detach yourself from the situation, reflect a little bit on it, and then come back. And you might even be able to do even better than you were doing.
Totally. Totally. I can tell you, my business strategist has told me I need to do 1 hour of nothing per week. I'm failing miserably because I don't know how to do nothing. Yet I'm doing bite-sized chunks of 5 minutes at a time just to kind of build the muscle. And then last week I did it 10 minutes. But it was in those 10 minutes that I had some great ideas, because when you're in it, you don't think differently because you're so busy doing something. But as soon as you're sitting in silence, things start happening. Wow. And I think that's really important. So I'm building up that muscle for my hour. But at the moment, it is really just looking at my calendar, and it's as much as even putting it in my calendar, say, okay, today I'm going to take 15 minutes of nothing. I've never done that before, but it's allowing me to think differently.
Sure. Yeah, that is very, because it's so hard to come up with solutions and solve problems when you're just trying to do, and then you just get stuck. But when you just detach yourself from it, it's crazy. The answers kind of like flow to you.
Exactly. So I've been spending quite a bit more time like sitting down on the beach in my car, and again, no phone, no radio, like doing nothing, trying, and just again, start focusing on where you're at, how you're feeling, and what can you do differently. And that's answers do come to you.
And you've helped a lot of people hit their biggest career milestones. What's a powerful transformation story that stands out to you?
Am I allowed to talk about you?
If you want, yeah, you can talk about how we work together. Yeah, that's...
Well, I think, watching your growth from when we started working together. And I mean, I know the course that you joined at the beginning, one of the things you said on the first day when we spoke to our different clients that signed up, you were like, well, I'm my biggest problem. I've been lazy. And the fact that you showed up to every single training session and you started putting the work in, and then we started our accountability sessions, I do feel that you gave yourself a lot of goals and you were very hard on yourself. I think you're one of the few people I had to try slow down. But saying that, setting yourself goals for what you wanted to achieve financially, which is important as well as personally, as well as professionally, it's looking at your goals and starting with your personal life first and setting those massive goals and putting in the work to achieve it. And that was, again, perseverance and determination. I mean, your sales skyrocketed, looking at where you wanted to achieve, and you exceeded that. So for me, that was just mind-blowing, really, really mind-blowing. So applaud to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to interrupt this episode to let you know about Harcourt's Real Estate, one of my sponsors. As you know, I've been an agent with Harcourt's for over 3.5 years since I started my career in real estate, and I cannot recommend them enough. As an agent, they've provided me with the most amazing training through the Harcourt's Academy, and they train you all the way from being an intern to becoming a full status agent, taking care of a lot of the red tape and things that are not really fun as an intern as you train. And if you're a seller looking to sell your property, Harcourt's have the most amazing processes and technology that can help put your property at the forefront so that it gets sold in the best time and for the best price possible. If you need more details on Harcourt's, then please click on the link below. And you have 6 winning strategy. You have your 6 winning strategies program. Can you break down 1 or 2 of these strategies that anyone can apply today?
Sure. One of them is, it starts with being clear on your goals. I know so many people, when you talk about goals, they go, oh, goals, it's so boring. But it's not boring if you're excited about what you want to achieve. And I will always say, have 3 professional, 3 personal, 3 financial goals. Put it in writing, be specific using the SMART analogy, but be specific and measurable. Achievable, everything's achievable. Realistic, everything's realistic if you have a good timeline on it and somebody to hold you accountable to do it. So for me, it's about being clear, structured on your goals. I like to do my goals in November for the following year, but for those listening who haven't done them, start. And it's again coming back to, what do I need to do differently? I shared with you, I set my goals in November last year, but then just 2 weeks ago, 10xing my business, my goals have shifted quite a lot. Again, I don't delete goals. I can shift it upwards, but not remove them. So it's, it's looking at what can I do differently. So I think the goals is incredibly important. And then being so clear on your time of when you're going to achieve those goals. Because it's easy to say, this is what I want to do, but you need to block time to get it done. And that's what's important. So focusing on time blocking, focusing on money-making activities, focusing on quality time with family and friends as well is very important. So for me, those 2 go hand in hand. The other 6 P, is removing those limiting beliefs. So until you remove those and know that you can achieve it, it's challenging to get started, but just start.
For sure.
I think so many people have got a fear of failure, but I think a lot more people have fear of success. The what if. So what if? For me, there is no failure. We fail forward and we learn from it and we keep growing.
Yeah, that fear of success that you just spoke about, I think that is a real thing, because I'm thinking here, if I 10x'd my business, I'm going to have so many more people that are going to be holding me accountable, clients, probably more staff, things like that. I'm going to have to be performing at a much higher level. Like, am I prepared for that? And that is quite scary. So I think that's why sometimes we keep ourselves small, but you have to kind of break free and become that person before you become the millionaire before you actually have a million rand in the bank or whatever. It's quite. And another thing that really spoke to me was the spending time with friends and family, because I feel like when we're trying to achieve something big, we feel like we have to isolate ourselves from the world. And I feel like that's super dangerous, because personally, I've done that when I went for my big goals, and it hurt a lot. Now I've come back, I've reflected, and I've got a healthier relationship with socializing with people and doing it in a better way. It doesn't always have to be going out and having a drink or something. It can be something else. So yeah, that's super powerful, I think.
I think also your friends and family, having the right friends and family around you fuels your soul. And that was one of the things I time blocked time on Saturday to spend 3 hours with a really good friend in real estate. And we went and sat in a quiet coffee shop, and I honestly felt like I'd been recharged with a bumblebee of passion. And it is about taking that time out, because you can get so lost in just doing and the end of the day, then life's happening around you. So, it's like working to live, but also living to work. And it's having that balance of having quality time with your family and friends and not letting go of that. Work will always be there. I think that was one of my things, even at the beginning of the year, going, oh my gosh, I want to achieve all my goals. And I was like, these are your annual goals, you don't have to achieve everything in January. And it was really about looking at life of time blocking time for your family and friends and having fun doing it. That's important.
No, and also, why are you doing this goal? Like, if you're just doing it so that you can have money and whatever, like, anyone can do that. But like, are you're doing it for the people that you love or something bigger than yourself? So
Exactly.
like, why are you going to isolate yourself from those people? And then, okay, in 2 years' time, I'm going to now rekindle my relationship with my uncle, father, whatever, brother, you know what I mean? So I think you've got to remember that's like your big why, maybe.
Absolutely.
Well.
And it's important to isolate time. Well, like I said, time block time again. Like, I'm very much about time blocking time to go to the gym and have time for friends. And I try to do 2 coffees with friends a week. One of my goals I set for 2023 and I've rekindled this year is to meet somebody of inspiration once a week and have a coffee with them. So it's learning through others, but also finding out what were their best achievements and what were their best failures and what did they learn. Because that way you can also take from learning through others, and it's not just all work focus. Because we all know we can get so sucked into that, just like a tornado of work, because we love what we do, but then where's the growth?
Yeah,
so it is stepping out.
Yeah, and something powerful could come from those connections. You may sit down, have a dinner, and someone says something, it resonates with you, and you can then put that into your business or what you're doing in your life. So it's those connections are,
which is exciting.
And you also do the Speak with Impact course, and you do it for real estate agents. Can you tell me a little bit more about that course and how it helps agents and how you've seen people transform through that course?
Oh, it gives me goosebumps every time I speak about it. So I, even being a trainer for 14 years, only started learning how to do public speaking in 2021. And I signed up to a South African course and an American course. And then I, felt so passionate about learning simplified tools that help me with my speaking. I often found in 2021, any talk, or, if I had to go do a talk, I used to wing it. I was a professional winger. And what I've learned in the public speaking world is the one thing we don't do is wing. Secondly, the passion. So when I get really passionate, I felt like I was a washing machine spin cycle, just spitting words out. And often I would talk myself into a deal, but quite quickly talk myself out of a deal because I was so excited I would just keep talking. And I started recognizing that I needed to learn skills of how to switch off that washing machine and think differently. And over the time of learning how to do public speaking, I became a co-coach for 2 years. A lot of people started reaching out to me and asking me to help them with their story and help them speak clearly and concisely. And last year, I decided to launch my own course with Speak with Impact for public speaking. And that's helping people write a 7-minute signature talk without notes. I also then became a speaker coach for TEDx Cape Town. So I learned a lot of tools from them, as well as still continuing learning with coaches in America. But what I realized just speaking to different people, not everybody wants to do a 7-minute signature talk up on stage. Some people just want to master the art of doing a 60-second introduction. And over the last few years, I've attended quite a lot of networking functions, and watching people stand up to introduce themselves, you generally have 30 seconds to 60 seconds to make an impact. And I was quite taken back about how many people had to read the introduction, who they were and what they did. And that isn't because they don't know who they are. That's just they're consumed with nerves. And I thought, but I used to be quite similar. So how can I help? And that's when I, Speak with Impact for Real Estate was born. So it's more of a mini course to the public speaking, yet it's so impactful because it's just it's quite different to the full course, whereby you learn different traits of how to do the 60-second pitch, but how to prepare your mindset, to do your networking phone calls, your cold calling. Because nobody, and let's be honest, like very few people love picking up that phone and phoning people. I know you do incredibly well with it. I have to build myself up to do that. So one of the things is crafting a 60-second talk or 60-second introduction of being comfortable sharing who you are with passion, and just helping people find their voice and fall in love with their voice has been amazing. So many people that have done the course and have stepped into it of just going, oh my gosh, my confidence is growing. Because people buy from people, but people buy from people with confidence that they know what they're doing. And so many people I know do their job incredibly well, but we're too scared to tell people what they do. And this has helped them find their voice and comfort. I like, again, sharing simplified tools. So I've used the simplified tools for my course as well. So that irrespective of where you are, you just follow the simplified tool and put it into practice. And it's been transformational. I mean, I've just seen people, from doing camera work to introduction work to eye contact in the space of 3 weeks, how they've shifted. And quite a lot of people on my course now, I'm watching them do daily reels on, doing lots of camera work, and their sales are skyrocketing. So we talk about 10x, again, people get to know, like, and trust you. And when they see you, hear you, they almost feel like they know you more than just a WhatsApp or just a phone call as well. So it's been absolutely amazing.
Sure. It definitely sounds like something that I need to do. Yeah. And I'm definitely going to get involved in that.
I have to share, I was doing an AI course last night on marketing analysis, and I actually put it out there, who is doing courses of speaking with confidence in real estate. And I was the only one who popped up. So I was very excited by that because I think it's something that, there's a lot of trainers out there, but not a lot of people need the confidence of just learning how to speak clearly and concisely. And every now and again, I still go on a spin cycle, but I can at least bring attention to it and stop, breathe, focus on what needs doing.
Yeah, that spin cycle, I think it happens to all of us, though. I think I've probably spoken myself out of a couple of deals just from talking way too much, way more than I should have spoken. So definitely something that I think if you want to be effective in any part of, in any sphere of life, maybe something that people should look into.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, they say effective communication can increase your net worth by 50%.
Wow.
Simply by being clear, concise, and listening to what your client wants and to be able to answer it in the way that they asked it so they understand it.
Sure.
Massive, massive difference.
That's amazing. Yeah. Sure. And if someone is listening right now, feeling stuck or overwhelmed, what's the one thing they should do today to start building momentum?
I would say start with daily affirmations. And I say that because it really helped me when I got retrenched starting my business. As much as I was excited to start a new company, it was daunting. I downloaded a affirmations app and I started doing daily affirmations, and I still do it today. And it's about reading them out loud, not just saying it quietly, which helps you start to believing in yourself. And I think that's where it all starts. Because if you have a belief that you can do anything, you'll do it.
Wow. Okay. And what's the best advice you've ever received that has shaped the way you approach success?
Sure. Be comfortable failing. I actually heard a lady, and I can't remember her name, but she started Spanx. I don't know.
Yes, it's like the underwear. It's like a women's underwear brand.
Yeah, that sucks it all in. And when she was being interviewed by Tony Robbins, she used to say that growing up, she often used to come home and her dad used to say to her every day, "What did you fail at today?" And if she turned to her dad and said, "I didn't fail," he said, "Well, then you didn't try hard enough." And I thought that was quite wow and profound, that it's okay to fail. And as much as, even in my business now, it's just short of 5 years old, I have failed so much and I don't like failing. But when I fail, those have been my best learnings. And sometimes it's when you hit rock bottom that you come flying up. So I would say just do it. Like Nike, just do it. Get comfortable with failing, get comfortable with learning, and get comfortable being uncomfortable. That'd be my best advice.
Great. Nicke, well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I think this is going to help a lot of people. where can people find you and connect with you so that they can be impacted by your work?
Fantastic. You with the winningattitude.coza. So find me on my website. I am also on Facebook, LinkedIn. But more importantly, I would say go onto my website, sign up for my newsletter as well. Set up you're welcome to send me a link there, set up a consultation call. Let's have a chat, see how I can help you as well.
Great. Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate your time, and I'm sure everybody who's watching and has listened has appreciated it as well.
And thank you, Josh. You are doing amazing things. So well done. And thank you for what you do for the real estate industry.
Pleasure.